Yesterday we spoke about who is Moses? Who is Moshe? What exactly is the job of Moses? Everybody knows that Moses, at least according to the Torah narrative, he took the Jewish people out of Egypt and he brought them to Mount Sinai and he gave them the Torah. He brought them the Torah. And when they couldn't hear any more from God, so he gave them over the rest. And he led them through the desert. But according to this mimer we're learning over here, because there seem to be certain grammatical questions in the sentence, so we conclude that God is hinting at something here. He's trying to send us another message about Moses. Who is Moses? What exactly is the job of Moshe? So the Rebbe says that Moshe is the most Jewish person in the world. The essence of Judaism is Moses, up to now. Then it's going to be Moshiach will surpass Moses in many ways in his Jewishness. What is Judaism? Judaism is recognizing the Creator and why he's creating the world. That's Judaism. Judaism is a recognition, a feeling, an intimate feeling that there's a Creator that's creating us and that he's creating us for a purpose and he's creating everybody. That's Judaism. Judaism is recognizing the Creator. Any deviation, worshiping anything else except for the Creator, that's called idolatry. That's called avodah zarah, strange service. And Abraham was the first person to try to wean the world from idolatry. Idolatry is a very natural impulse that people have. People feel uncertain about life. People feel afraid about the future. They feel regret about the past. They feel guilt. They feel that they're incapable of dealing with the problems of the world, the difficulties of the world. So they grab at something. And some people grab at all sorts of things. But one of the things you can grab at is religion, idolatry. In other words, worshiping for yourself. That's what you're worshiping, for your own self. Worshiping. And it depends how dominant this feeling of self is, because not all selfishness is idolatry, but in a fine way it is. Moses is here to take the world out of its selfishness, to bring the world to recognize that there's a Creator, and that being selfish, undue selfishness, is a big, big mistake. It's a big mistake. And that's what it says. Jeremiah brings the prophecy, the Rambam brings it. The Mashiach is going to come and show the world that all of their religions are just mistakes. That they've been lied to. They're not true. There's something much, much more real. What is more real? The Creator that's creating us. And that's what Moses is here for. Moses is here to make everybody feel the Creator. To feel the Creator much more than they feel themselves. The most, how do you say, the obvious thing is that we exist, right? We talked about this yesterday. The famous French philosopher Descartes said, how do I know what's the basis of all reality? I exist. I'm here. I know if I'm aware, it means that there's somebody that's aware, right? If I'm being fooled, at least there's a me that's being fooled. If I have consciousness, it means that I exist. And on this feeling, this predication that I exist, and that's the basis of reality, is based all idolatry and the religions and the false ideas. The fact of the matter is that the basis of all reality is that God exists. That's the ultimate real, but we don't feel it. If God exists, we should feel it. Why do people come to this conclusion that I exist and I am the base? Because they feel themselves. It's the most obvious thing in the world. Here I am. That's what they're conscious of, but they're not conscious of the Creator. They're not conscious of the Creator. And if they are, it's only intellectually. They believe there's such a possibility as a thing like that. Could be a Creator. There are very, very few people. Maybe we can even say one out of the whole entire population of the world really feels the Creator. So close to us, is the feeling of self. Everybody feels themselves, obvious thing. And what we're supposed to feel is we're supposed to feel there's a creator that's creating us, and also feel ourselves, but me, myself, this feel of I, this is supposed to be number two. It's just a created feeling. And we're supposed to feel the creator. And this creator is the same creator that Moses wanted everyone to feel and reveal. That's why Moses took the Jews out of Egypt. That's why Moses brought them to the Torah. At the Torah, the creator revealed himself. That's Judaism, recognizing the creator, feeling the creator, doing what the creator wants. The creator is infinitely good. He's creating us. If you think that you're good, I mean, I think I'm good. Everybody feels naturally that they're good. And what's the proof? When there's any danger, so I do everything I can to avoid the danger. If there's danger to someone else, I'm not as automatically motivated to run away from to protect this other person. Right? If there's a bee in the room flying around, wants to sting people or something, so the first thing automatically you think about yourself. And then afterwards, you think about other people. But the fact is that people feel themselves. It's a healthy feeling, a good feeling. You should feel yourself. You should feel yourself. If you feel God, it doesn't mean you feel yourself less. It means you feel yourself properly. No more people that are more selfish. You go into bar rooms and things like that. Everybody there is just selfish. They're just there for their own pleasures. People that are addicted, they're thinking about themselves all the time. This is an improper way of thinking about yourself, of feeling it, because you're so devoted to yourself and you can't think about anybody else. That's really bad. You can't think anything that's totally destructive. Moses is here to make people start to feel aware that there's a creator that's creating us, and he wants us to feel ourselves, but in a proper way, in the way that he wants, that the creator wants. Okay, this feeling of God, this feeling of the creator, this feeling that we are being created for a purpose, this feeling, that is called, in Hebrew, it's called da'at. Dalid ayin taf. Da'at. Da'at means realization. Connection, like it says, the man knew his wife. Connection, that we connect to God in that way. That's the song of King Solomon, with this book called the Song of Songs. It's 8 chapters long. And it talks about the love relationship between God and the Jews and Jews and God. The whole book, the Zohar, is the masculine terms, feminine terms. It's a love relationship. The proper result of this knowing God is love. When you know how good God is, how close God is, how much God thinks about us, if there would be any person that we would realize thinks about us that much, and we would realize how the person is, we would love that person. What's the question? The person is only interested in our good, and he gives us life, and he gives us eyes to see, and he gives us ears to hear, and running around looking for eye transplants and ear transplants and heart transplants and this, and he pays for the operation. And here we are. We've got eyes, we've got ears. Who gave it to us? God. At least that basic feeling we should have of the creator of the universe. That's what we should have. And this same God gave us the Torah, gave the Jews the Torah. The same God is creating everybody in the world. But the fact that the problem is to feel it, because feeling it is easier said than done. And it's even easier understood than done. You can even understand it, you can teach it, right? Here I'm teaching you this, teaching all this right now. You think I feel God? Why? I would like it, very nice. But still, nevertheless, the Rebbe is saying that in order to do it, you have to have Moses. Like it says, you have to know the God of your fathers, because by means of this da'at, this feeling of God, by means of this, the world does not conceal so much. And sometimes it doesn't conceal at all. You realize that the world is here. The world is really a wonderful, blessed, holy, happy place, and it's here. And that God wants us to be here. Originally, man was created. He wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to be in the world forever. That's man. The world is infinitely meaningful. Life is infinitely good. God wants us to put that good and meaning into the world. That's our job. And it's all constant. Adam, that we were supposed to live forever. There's not enough people in the world. The more people in the world, the more fixing the world can be. But first of all, you have to fix the people. So that's the idea of Moses. It says, by means of Moses connecting everyone's awareness to the creator of the universe, then the world is not concealed at all. But Ahava, and also this love, which comes from this connection and seeing God. There's nothing compared to it. As much as a person can love his wife, his friends, his children, he loves money. People love money. Ooh, people go crazy. Money, people go crazy for power, for popularity. People go berserk for popularity, for success. Well, these things are good. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's incomparable the love that a person should have for God. Because God is the source of all the success and love, etc. The Cain year and also fear. Fearing God. It's not similar. Hearing, understanding what God is, and seeing God. Seeing God means feeling. In this case, that's what it likes. Look at three things. Okay, we can see. Hearing means just thinking about God. Or is the end of the parentheses? Huh? Long parentheses. Long parentheses. Look like we'll do the whole parentheses 1 minute. Must be end to this. Parentheses. Parentheses up to now have always ended. Well, okay. So he says, if a person thinks about godliness and really think that's called hitbonenut, you contemplate. This is a big word in Hasidut Chabad, in Judaism. Contemplate. Contemplate means solving problems. You have a big problem. Something is a problem to you, and you really want to solve it. And you sit and you think. That's called contemplation. Contemplation. If something is not a problem to you, you just think it's meditation. You have what it is. You meditate on something that's sort of outside of you. Nice. You remove your mind from everything else. Contemplation means that the thing pulls you. Contemplation means you pull. We've got a big problem. What's the problem? God is everywhere. God is creating us, and we don't feel it. That problem, we should think deeply into. How can we solve that problem? Is it really? Maybe it's not true. Maybe God is not creating it. But if He is, this is really amazing. You start thinking into it. That's what it means. That's what a person gets attached. Hainu shiyem makushar ba'omek nekudat alev. That the essence of your heart becomes attached to the reality of God. B'machshavat bina. When in the essence of your understanding, which is not the case if it's just simple understanding. Then this idea about the oneness of God, the closeness of God, the reality of God, it's just in our thoughts. But it doesn't touch my essence of my heart. Libo kalal, to the heart at all. But in order that the heart should be aroused and that it should be in fire with this thought, until it will be kula kenya davuk meod, to be attached totally to the Creator. Now, here the Rebbe is giving an ideal situation, but it's a situation which is in the reach of each and every one of us. That's what's called da'at. Da'at means true attachment, right? And there's some examples that are given. That maybe perhaps the best example is money. How people are automatically attached to their money and they don't want to lose their money. People are willing to do anything for money. They're willing to kill for money, and they're willing to also, a thief comes into your house, wants your money, you're willing to kill the thief. You'll do anything, right, to save your money. Money is very important to people. Money is, well, that's natural. That's good. Money is natural. It's good. But don't go overboard. How can you not go overboard? Is there anything more important than money? There used to be a comedian in America. And he used to make a little act. Someone would come up to him with a mask over their eyes. it used to be that thieves used to have masks over them. Now everybody has masks over the faces. Now the victims have the masks over the faces. Thieves used to have masks. He would come up to him on the stage. He was standing on the stage. And he would point a gun at him and say, "Your money or your life?" And the person would just stand there and do nothing. So I said, "Your money or your life?" Your money, and the crowd would start to laugh. Your money or your life? And the victim would say, "Well, just one moment. I'm thinking. Jack Benny was a famous comedian. Why is it funny? Because everybody automatically, your life is more important than your money, right? But your money is important. There's no doubt about it. Only if somebody comes and threatens your life are you willing to part with your money. But people don't part with their money. Therefore, it says when we pray 3 times a day in Shema Yisrael, we say you should love God more than you love your money. Right? Not an easy thing to do. Until a person, what he's thinking about God, he actually sees it and feels it. That's this level of Zera Adam that we talked about. That's the level of what's called the seed of man. Namely, these are souls which have dat. These are souls which actually feel God. Right? Like there's some people have a sense of music, and some people have a very great sense of music, and some people are geniuses in music, and some people music just flows to them. I heard someone said that Rachmaninoff, if you could hear any piece, any piano piece one time, and he could play it over. You remember the whole thing from the beginning to the end. That's what I heard. A person like that is so amazingly attached to music, and music is so real to him. This is a one in a generation. Who knows how many people have that? Well, there's some people that are like that with God. And it really means something to them, feel something. That's called dat. This is what reveals what's called chachma, seeing God. Midbonanut. Then he can come to what Job said, from my flesh I grasp God. I can see God. And other words, God is as real as I am. To me. Which is not the case, which is not the case when there is not this level of dat. Just by the way, all these other religions, there's a lot of religions where people are willing to give their lives for their religion. But that doesn't mean that they feel God more than themselves. It just means that they feel that there's a bigger present waiting for them in heaven than in earth. They figure it's a better investment than to invest. The bigger the investment, the bigger the return. If you make the ultimate investment, you get the ultimate return. Invest your life, you'll go to heaven. But in the end, it comes out to be total, ultimate egotism. A person's only doing it for his own benefit. Then there are soldiers that go out and fight and they risk their lives. But usually there are some that, the ones that get the Medal of Honor, those are soldiers where it seems their actions indicate that they are willing to die for their country. They throw their whole life away. A normal soldier hopes he's going to come back, right? Once in a while, there were soldiers that all they cared about was their friends, or they cared about something, whatever, some sort of an amazing deed which showed that they weren't normal. They didn't care about themselves. Okay, then they get a medal. Now, these religions, the medal is you go to heaven. But in the end, right, the religion's going to heaven is much more selfish than the soldier who risks himself for his soul. Okay, it's a long thing with it. What if you're on the side of the enemy? What if you're on the evil guys, right? The Nazi soldier, is a hero. He's a hero also. I don't know. We're not talking about that now. We're talking about ultimate good, ultimate life, ultimate creation, ultimate building, ultimate meaning in this physical world, to feel the Creator in this world, and that the Creator wants us to do His will in this world, to really feel this, not just to understand it or to believe it, to really feel this. This is what Moses is drawing into the world. Oh, here's the end of the parenthesis. Even though these people, they're called, they don't see, that's what 99.999% of the Jews are this, that they hear about godliness, they understand godliness, but they don't see godliness. They're also, that's called the seed of the animal. That's called animal. The big tzaddikim, like I said, there's maybe one in every generation. That's called the seed of man. And everybody else is called the seed of animal. Why? Because they don't understand God. And even though that an animal can't understand things either, well, Derek Masha, this is like oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Even though the Rebbeinu also doesn't really understand things, but animals do have something like what's called imagination. The koach haseichel v'havana. I'm sorry. 1 second. Just give me one moment. Something seems to be wrong over here. Let me just have a look here. Excuse me. Maybe I'm not understanding this properly. Give me one moment. No? Okay, good. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I just misread it. Okay. Animals have the power of imagination. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Pavlov's dogs, the famous behavioristic experiment. There was what was Pavlov? What was his first name? Anton Pavlov. Any case, Pavlov was a behavioristic psychologist, and he discovered something very interesting: that animals have imagination. Animals have an imagination, and they react to this imagination. They can, what's he called, programmed. How did he do it? He gave an animal, a dog. He gave a dog food, and he had a way of testing the saliva that came from the dog. And then he would put the food down, and he would test it. He would see that the dog would salivate, not only when he was eating the actual food, when he just saw the food. So from this, he understood that dogs maybe have a power of imagination. They see the food. So he figured he would take it one step further. And every time he would put the food down, before the dog was able to eat it, he would just put it down so the dog would see it. Maybe he had the dog on a leash or something. He would sound the bell. And sound the bell along with it. So the dog would see the food, and he would salivate. And there was also the bell would ring. Then eventually took away the food. And he just sounded the bell. Whenever the dog would hear the bell, he would also salivate. So he associated the sound of the bell with the appearance of the food, and the appearance of the food he associated with the taste of the food. So from this, he understood that animals have the power of imagination. Well, here the Rebbe is saying the same thing. I mean, I don't know if you had to have such a big expert. I guess his big thing is that the bell triggered off the thing, not just the food. Okay, in any case, animals have the power of imagination. The animal can imagine, this dog hears the bell, bing, he hears the bell, he thinks about food. Kach HaSeichel, also a human being, we Jews and everybody else, we can understand with godliness is only Shmiya Bilvad. It's something like, just like an imagination. We're just like hearing the bell. We think about God, there's a creator, sort of rings the bell, but we don't really see God, not even at a distance. We don't. This is called Kidmutenu. These are people, like it says in the beginning, when God created man, he said, now man, the first man was supposed to be a Jew. Because like I say, a Jew, the whole thing of a Jew is just to recognize the creator. So Adam, the first man, he was supposed to be a Jew. His whole thing was to connect to God directly. As soon as he ate from the tree, that brought all the other religions into the world. The people started thinking about themselves. And this it says, we were like dreamers. Then all of a sudden, people, all they see is themselves. And what about God? They think about it, it's an idea. And this finally spread out to the whole entire world. That everybody is like in a big dream. That's the whole thing. All there is just this power of imagination, right? We see, and if you think about it for a little bit, I remember when I was very young, I heard that there was the thing called hypnotism. I was maybe, I don't know, I was maybe 7, 8 years. I heard there was a thing called hypnotism. And it used to be very, very popular one time, hypnotism. And to the point where a person could not feel pain. They could take a person, hypnotize them, and pass a needle through his neck, and he wouldn't feel anything. And oppositely, they could hypnotize a person, and he would feel the pain in his neck. And then there was the thing of advertising. When I was young, they were just starting television. Advertising hypnotized people. Then they had subliminal advertising. And all of a sudden, a person would be watching, Popeye or something, and all of a sudden, he said, wow, I really want a Coca-Cola. Wow, I really want. Everybody in the room says, yeah, we do too. We want to go. They can't figure out why, because they flashed this Coca-Cola picture for like a tenth of a second on the screen. And all of a sudden, everybody realized that how much our imagination and our has an effect on us, that we consider it to be real, to the point where things can be tremendously false. How false the world is. I could tell a couple of stories that were really very influential in me becoming religious, but some of them are sort of really not nice. But I'll tell you one of that really is not nice, but it's the least of the not nice ones. I used to play music. I used to be a singer in bars. There was this one bar, and it was like open after hours, and I played the bass. I sang, and we're talking about, this is like, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago, and 50 years ago, 55 years. Anyway, so it was after hours, and all that were left over were these few guys. They're all drunk. And suddenly from nowhere, just there appeared these, now, you know what? I'm not going to tell the story. Let's go. In any case, I realized how false the world is. Let's go. Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom has a big power that he can draw down this das to Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, to get out of this imaginary world. Even in the souls, which are called at the seed of animal. Even though our people like us, me and you, that we can think about God, and we can even understand God, but we don't feel it. That's why there has to be in every generation a Moses. We are now reading, what we're reading now is the writings, teachings of Moses. This is it. The Moses of his generation was the first Rebbe of Chabad. In our generation, the Moses of our generation is the Rebbe of Chabad, the present Rebbe of Chabad. This is the Moses of their generation. Their influence is eternal. This gives a person a feeling of God, liot v'yadat hayom, to know and feel God. Like I say again, this is not a spiritual feeling. It is a feeling of God's essence that he's creating us. Da es Elokei avicha, like it says, know the God of your father. The spiritual worlds, that's just like a ladder to get to the creator of the spiritual worlds, to have this feeling of the creator. That's what it means. Know, you should know God. Moses, there has to be a Moses in every generation. There must be a Moses in every generation. Without Moses, we have no chance. No chance. Ki Moses, Moshe, Rabbeinu Olav Shalom, is called Rayam Emna. He's called the faithful shepherd. Echad HaMiyuchad, the special one, Mishiva Roim, of the 7 shepherds, Sheroa Mafarnas and Neshamas Israel, that he brings to pasture, and he feeds, like a shepherd feeds his sheep. Well, Moses has to be one in every generation that he feeds the Jewish people connection to God. That's what he feeds them. He nourishes their awareness of God. Every Jew has this. It's called faith. And he nourishes it so that it becomes more realistic, more tangible. That because Moses gives to the Jewish people moach hadat, this feeling of connection to God. Shu pirush rayam em, that's what it means that Moses is a faithful shepherd, means that he farnes, that he shepherds, he brings to graze, in other words, he feeds the faith. Not a faithful shepherd, but the shepherd of faith. Lokach, therefore, Hugel Rishon, Moses is called the first redeemer. He took the Jews out of Egypt. And he's called the last redeemer. He'll be the Mashiach. Goel Rishon, the first Redeemer, Shu Mashpia Lehem Bechinas Das, that he gives the Jewish people awareness of God. Shebetechila, that in the beginning, Hadibur Shalom, in the beginning he said, V'yadatem ki ani Hashem. When God spoke to Moses, he said, I want even the Egyptians to know that I am God. Because at first it says, Vayam ein ha'am. First of all, Moses spoke to the Jews. And he said, I want you to know that I'm God. In the beginning, it says that the Jewish people believed. Believing in God means that you believe that there is such a thing. That we're not alone in the world. That we believe there's a creator. We believe that God cares, that God provides for us. We believe it. Do we feel it? No. We believe that there's a possibility, a good possibility, a big possibility. And this God, that he is the first Redeemer, and he had to have Moses in order to convince the people to follow God. This Moses will be the last Redeemer also. Mashiach will have an effect not just on the Jewish people like Moses did, but the whole world. The whole world will be filled with an awareness of God. Because everyone will know me. Everyone will know me, says God. Namely, that everywhere in the world, that's the surrounding aspect of God, everywhere in the world everyone in the world will be aware that there's a creator that's creating them. Aware, feel it. Which is not the case going out of Egypt, even though that there was drawn down to this level of everyone will know. This is what's called mamale komi. This is the level of godliness which says it fills the world. Like it's explained in another place. There's godliness that fills the world, and there's godliness which surrounds the world. The godliness which fills the world, this is uniquely for the Jewish people. Uniquely to the Jewish people. Every single detail in the world is filled with godliness. That's the Torah, etc. But that you have to deal with the details. Soviv Kolmi means that everything in general, the very creation, the very existence of everything comes from God. This everyone is going to feel by Mashiach. This is something which is above arguing, above idolatry. Everyone will realize that there's a creator that's creating them all the time. That's the point. When the Jews left Egypt, they felt that there's a God that cares about them, a God that loves them, a God that provides for them. These are all details. That's unique for the Jewish people. But in the future, God is going to reveal that he's creating everyone. That's everyone. God is creating everything. He's creating the Jews just like he's creating the moon, like he's creating the dogs, the cats. Everything is being created. Everything will know that there is godliness. That's what Mashiach is going to bring. That's what it says that Moses said, I have given grasses in your fields for your animals. Who are the animals? The animals, that's me and you. And the Esav, these grasses that he gives to the animals, this is dat. Why is Esav dat? What is this? The Esav means like grasses, weeds, whatever, foliage. Esav says this is Ayin Beit. Ayin Beit is one of the names of God, 72-letter name of God, if you want to call it. The Gematria is 70, and the letter Shin is in the middle. The letter Shin in the middle is a very high level of godliness of the word. That's the name of Av, is Chachman, etc. He explains what it means. This will be drawn down to Sadacha. What's Sadacha? This is the aspect of God's what's called kingship. Chachal Tavuch and Kedishin. This is what they call the field of the holy apples. This is the lowest aspect. It's a Kabbalah name for the first meal of Shabbat, and also for God's lowest aspect of revelation. This is for the animals, namely me and you. Okay, here we go. Let's just go a little bit further, 1 second. Oh, let's go back to the beginning. That's what it means. And that's what it means. Okay, so what do we say up to now? Moses, here, let's do from these parentheses. All this is drawn down by means of Moses. Moshe. There has to be one person in every generation that he makes the Torah real. He makes God real. That he makes the Creator infinitely close to everyone. And everyone knows and feels that the God who's creating them is the same God who gave the Torah. For the non-Jews, 7 no-hide commandments. For the Jews, it's all the 630 commandments, which this draws down this level of connection from the highest of levels until the end of the levels. Moses makes everyone feel the truth. It should go into all thought, speech, and action of every human being in the world. Something like what it was when God said to Moses, lift up your staff, and by means of that, the sea split. By means of this, there was drawn down the awareness of God into all of the Jews in their thought, machshava, dibur, u'maisa, thought, speech, and action. How? By means of what? That Moses had to lift up his staff. What's the staff? The staff is the staff of life, awareness of God. The awareness of God, which raises up to the essence of God, which is called Keter, God's crown. And this is drawn down into thought, speech, and action of all the Jews, splitting even the lowest of levels. The sea split and revealed the dry land. That's a foretaste of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to fill the whole world with the awareness of God. That's what it means. These are the laws that you should put before them. Mishpat, this is walking. Like it says, Kamishpat arishon kehilchasa kadmisa. Mishpat means laws. Laws are halachot. Halachot, the word halacha, also means to walk. Halicha. Halachot in lashon halicha. The laws of the Torah make a person move. Because what are the laws of the Torah? The laws of the Torah are not just religious laws. They're not just the religion and the heritage of the Jews. That's also true, but that's not the main thing. That's a very external, secondary thing. It's like little kids that go to the shul, the synagogue, because they get candies over there. Good, it's a good thing. They get used to coming to the synagogue. They know synagogue is a nice place. The shul is good, but the main reason you go there is because you want to talk to God. You want to be connected to the Creator. You want to be connected. That's called dat. And this, says the Rebbe, is accomplished by means of Moses. And Moses put this into the laws of the Torah. Look, and therefore, klipa ein lem moach hadat kanoda. Therefore, the power of evil, they have no what's called dat. They have no connection to God. Like it's known, the whole story with King Solomon and the 2 prostitutes, where they had one baby, and King Solomon said, split it. Why? Because yesh v'davar, a person is a thing in himself. Ein behem bechinas bittul milamat l'mayla. Dat means connection to God, connection to something that's above you. Ultimately, the connection to the Creator of the universe. But that's the answer to the world's problems. The answer to the world's problems is to be connected, to be aware that there's a Creator, and the Creator loves life. The Creator loves you. He's creating you. If you're alive, that's the Creator's signature. He is creating you personally. You're the handiwork of God. Don't be selfish. Think about your Creator. Do with your life what your Creator wants you to do. That's called dat. This is drawn down by learning the laws of the Torah. That by means that a person looks into the laws of the Torah and he understands them well, and that's what's called the dat of the Torah. That's the whole idea of the Torah. What is the Rebbe saying over here? Everybody usually thinks God is something spiritual. He's out of the world. You can't approach him. The idea of Moses is to is to negate that idea, to show you that God is infinitely close to you. And that's one of the reasons God gave the Torah. He gave the Torah because the Torah is God's permanent presence in the world, in your brain when you learn the laws, in your arms, legs, when you do the Torah, when you do the commandments. That's my means of the what? That he walks from level to level and understanding the greatness of God. That's the whole idea of Moses, that he brought us the Torah. The Torah is a permanent way to connect to the essence of God. And that's the first commandment. This is what we're going to do tomorrow. And that's what it says in the first commandment of this week's Torah portion. Remember, we had the question. It says, these are the laws you should put in front of them. Now the Rebbe is saying the laws, that means the Torah, the godliness which is in the Torah, the connection, lifneia, means inside of them. The first of the laws that it talks about is when you, Moses, singular, you possess a Jewish servant. Moses, the whole job of Moses is to make all the Jews into his servants. What does it mean that they should serve the same God that Moses is serving? They should have the same awareness of God that Moses has. How can he do this? This, God willing, we're going to talk about tomorrow. Making yourself into a Jewish servant. Now let's learn the Dvar Malchut of this week. So what did we learn? We learned about the importance of Moses, that Moses connects everyone's thought, speech, action, feeling to the creator of the universe. And that was the whole reason that Moses took them out of Egypt, why he split for them the sea, why he gave them the Torah, is that me and you right now here in this world should feel God. And from that will bring that everyone in the world will feel God. Everyone in the world will worship only their creator that's creating them. And that's what we're doing now. We're learning about this, and God willing, it should bring it about immediately. Let's now learn the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe.